Today we are reacting to Analyzing Evil Obsession by Deval Ah. Let's check it out.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 279th episode of Analyzing Evil, featuring Obsession. If you like my videos, consider signing up to become a patron over on Patreon, where you can get access to my videos a day early, ad-free, and uncensored for as little as $2 a month. To say that Obsession has become a phenomenon is an understatement, and considering how fantastic of a film it is all around, that only makes sense. And the evil found within this story is beautifully crafted, and more than deserved to be discussed in an episode in this series. And that's what we're going to do here. So without further ado, let's begin. Though there's a critical element in this story that facilitates the evil that unfolds within, all of what happens here, every single thing, begins and ends with one person, and one person only, Baron Bailey, otherwise known as Bear. We don't know too much about Bear's backstory, but at some point in time Bear moved to the town the story takes place in either with his Nana, or to live with her, and that she passed away sometime before the events of this film. But why he moved there is never told to us, and other than this small piece of information, we have nothing to go off of as far as what elements present in Bear's past may have contributed to him developing into the man we see in this film. Based on his overall character, I think it's reasonable to assume that Bear was likely starved for attention throughout his childhood, either when he did live with his parents, because he never really had parents, because his Nana may not have been the most attentive caregiver, or perhaps due to a combination of all three. However, whatever there is to be divined about what contributed to Bear becoming the man he is in this film is purely speculative. What isn't up for interpretation though is the fact that Bear is a self-absorbed, needy, insecure, and cowardly young man whose ego-driven desire to win Nikki's
He's definitely that. He's all those qualities. And I like to think he's a POS. I like to think Bear is a POS that will really he got what he deserved. He got what he deserved. If he wasn't such a coward, none of this would have happened. None of the events of the movie would have happened if he was just an honest man. If he was just honest with his feelings and honest with his intentions, none of this would have happened. So yes, he is a POS. Bear is essentially a POS. And I believe there's a lot of men just like Bear out in this world. A lot of men that are scared to be honest with the people around them, especially to the women that they find attractive. You know, there's nothing to be afraid of when it comes to rejection. Now, granted, I'm not sure if, Nikki was going to reject him, but she gave him a chance to, allow himself to see things through, But instead of taking that chance, we end up with this movie.
affection for the sake of his own satisfaction and inability to obtain that love through regular means is what made all the horrendous events that played out over the course of this film a possibility. And the signs that Bear was the man capable of making all this happen were there from nearly the very beginning of this story. When we're first introduced to Bear in the opening of the film, he seems innocent enough. More than innocent, in fact. A nervous young man who's unsure how to approach women, that desperately wants to learn how. In these first few moments, Bear seems sweet, anxious and love-struck, but sweet nonetheless. A man in love who seems to have developed these feelings for Nikki over the course of many years, who can't help the way.
For many years, I'm pretty sure he had a lot of chances in many years. Many years, he had a lot of chances to allow himself to be, to tell Nikki about how he feels. I mean, hell, the first year of knowing Nikki, he should have said something. You should have not let that drag on. Like, bro, I'm telling you, man. The first year he met Nikki, and he knew in his heart that he loved her, or at least liked her, had a crush on her, should just went up to her and be like, hey, Nikki, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend or whatever? Bada boom, bada bing. Like, why drag this now we end up with the situation you're in? I just don't get it. If he known her for years, why in that first year of knowing her, he could just open up? It shouldn't take much. It shouldn't take much. But no. He's the reason why he's his own demise.
He feels for a girl who seems to have treated him with love and care, and who's always been the first person there for him in times of need. But it's in the very next scene that we're shown that there's something not quite right with Bear. After returning home from an outing a few days later, Bear finds his cat Sandy dead on the floor, poisoned after somehow getting into his grandmother's leftover pain medications, and dying as a result. Curiously though, when Bear examines the scene and begins cleaning it up, he seems rather calm. He did express some degree of sadness when he first discovered her corpse, but the way he investigates, cleans, and then disposes of Sandy's corpse via a trash bag, which he then just throws away, is odd behavior for a person who just discovered their pet lying dead on the floor. Now to be fair, Bear might not have been too upset here because Sandy might have been his grandmother's cat, and he didn't have much attachment to her. But even if that's not the case, and he did have an attachment to Sandy, when examining what a person does in the moments after they experience a sudden influx of grief, you have to keep in mind that grief is often irrational, so Bear could just be numbly going through the motions here, which seems to be the case considering the next scene shows Bear sobbing. But
Yeah, it's probably, yeah, that's probably what it was. I mean, not everyone's gonna like grief right then and there. I feel like it's a build up. I mean, for me, I think it's a build up. I mean, when my grandmother had passed away on my dad's side, it took me a long time to really finally like grief over her death. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a long time to like really sit in that moment and realize, oh, she's gone. Because until then, up to that point, I was living in a state of shock. Yeah, in that moment of me finally grieving, I was still living in a state of shock. Like, it still haven't clicked, you know. Sure, she wasn't there. Like, she wasn't physically there. But at the same time, it's like, maybe her presence was there, but she wasn't physically there. And over the years, I was able to grieve. So I guess, like, for him, I mean, it took him, like, a few hours after cleaning up to, like, finally grieve. But,
it's this very scene that shows us that what we saw Bear doing in the previous scene weren't the robotic motions one might expect a grief-stricken man to go through. As between his sobs here, we hear him say, "Why can't she just," before the camera pans down to the word obsession at the end of his bed, and then immediately cuts to Bear lying on his bed in the dark and scrolling through Nikki's Instagram profile. Why this is so important is because these few words uttered in the wake of what should have been a heart-wrenching event shows us that Bear is experiencing grief. The love he feels one might expect a grief-stricken man to go through. As between his sobs here, we hear him say, "Why can't she just," before the camera pans down to the word obsession at the end of his bed, and then immediately cuts to Bear lying on his bed in the dark and scrolling through Nikki's Instagram profile. Why this is so important is because these few words uttered in the wake of what should have been a heart-wrenching event shows us that Bear is experiencing grief here, but not for Sandy, but for the love he feels he'll never receive from Nikki. Why?
okay, that just sounds crazy. So he's not grieving over his passed away cat or his grandmother's cat. He's grieving over a girl. That ain't his girl. Bro, like, you just gotta man up, man. Like, dang. I get it. You're feeling tenderhearted about her. It's just, it's not the way to go, man. It's not the way to go. It's not the way to go. I mean, it really is not. It's really not the way to go. It really isn't. Like, so this whole scene wasn't really about the cat. It never was about the cat. Is what I'm getting at. Like, this whole scene was never about the cat, which makes sense because the obsession title chord. But still, it's just like, what the hell? How you grieve over a girl that you never asked out? Like, you never took the time to ask her out, so you're just grieving over her? That's the thing. I don't think Bear really truly loved Nikki like he think he did. I really don't think so. I don't think Bear truly really liked Nikki. I think he liked the idea of Nikki. I think he liked Nikki and maybe in a lustful way, so to speak. But mostly he liked the idea of her, not so much of her. This is my takeaway.
Why can't she just what? Sandy can
Exactly. Why can't she what? Because, again, I thought this scene was about the cat. I thought he was talking about the cat. But clearly, it's more than just the cat. It's about Nikki. Why can't she just what? Why can't she just love me? Is that what it is? Why can't she just love me? I'm right here. I'm right in front of her. Why can't she just love me? She could love you if you would just be a freaking man about it. That's why I don't like Bear. He's not a man. He's a coward. You're literally sitting at the edge of your bed crying over a bed that ain't your bed. She could be your bed if you ask her to be your bed. Just ask her. That's all he did. All these years of knowing her on day one, not even day, like the first year of knowing her, you should have just asked her. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Why didn't he ask her? We wouldn't be in this predicament at all if he would just be a man. Just ask her. That's the whole movie could be squashed right then and there if he would just ask her before. Years ago of knowing her. Crying over a bed that ain't his bed. Sad world we live in.
Can't do anything. She's dead. So if he were talking about Sandy here, you'd think he'd say something more like, why didn't she? Why did she? How could she? When trying to process and come to terms with the fact that his cat had just passed. But no, it's, why can't she just? And though we never hear what Bear wants from this mysterious she, we can only assume that sentence in its entirety was, why can't she just love me? Which is only supported by the aforementioned accompanying scene where he's scrolling through Nikki's profile. Now, it's more than likely that Bear's sobs here were partially brought on by Sandy's death, but it's rather telling of Bear's character that in this moment, where he should have been entirely focused on the death of his cat, that his mind was more so centered on his desire for Nikki, and the fact that she doesn't love him in the way he wants her to. What further supports the idea that Bear wasn't—
Which is crazy. Again, this is crazy. Like, at the end of the day, it's still crazy. I mean, I get it, man. We all have crushes. We all like somebody in this world. But if you have a crush on somebody, the rational thing would do is just ask them out. Duh. Like, the rational thing would be to ask them out. Instead of crying at the edge of your bed. Like a little bit. Like, right now, you look bit. You look like a bit made. He's bit made, okay? He's definitely bit made. This is the definition of being bit made. I swear, this is. Like, what grown? This is a grown man crying at the edge of his bed over a girl that's in his bed that he want to be in his bed. Dead ass. He dead ass cried over a girl that he wants to be his bed that ain't his bed because he never asked her to be his bed. Grown man, by the way. Again, this is a grown man. Remember this, guys. This is a grown man crying at the edge of his bed.
Fazed by his cat's death is how nonchalantly he brings up Sandy's passing when he's out at trivia night. And if it weren't for the fact that he in all likelihood doesn't care about this cat very much, maybe this would have been another instance of grief causing people to do strange things and act strangely, as he does admit to Nikki while he's driving home that the death of Sandy isn't okay, but that it hasn't hit him yet. But because I think we can reliably assume that the reason it hasn't hit him yet is because such an event doesn't affect Bear in the way it might affect others because of what he is, the moment where he brings up Sandy's death is what reveals to us what he is: a narcissist. Now initially, that might sound strange, as Bear's narcissism, or the fact that he's a narcissist at all, is not what you typically might expect, and that's fantastic, as like anything, narcissism, or narcissistic personality disorder, is on a spectrum, and not every narcissist is the stereotypical egomaniac who spends most of their free time kissing their own reflection. No, Bear is not a malignant narcissist whose behavior is overtly egotistical. He's a subtle narcissist, a poor me narcissist, one who believes that the world is a cruel place that—
He's one of those types. He's one of those woe is me type of guys. Oh, okay. He one of them woe is me type of guys. He's one of those, dumb kind of guys. Okay, I get it now. I see it now. I can see that. I can see that being like the kind of man he is. He one of those pity type of guys. He's like he want the puh to because he's pity. Like he's the type of guy that in order to get in some draws, he gotta be pitiful to get the draws. You know what I'm saying? To get the box, you gotta look pitiful to get the box. Start being straight up and straightforward about getting the box. That's how it feels. That's basically who he is. He didn't get Nikki because he was being the man he's supposed to be. No, he was pitiful. He was a pitiful man. This is a pitiful man. Again, this is a grown man, by the way. I'm gonna keep saying this in this video. This is a grown man that wants pity for other people, bro. Dead ass. Like, how you live with yourself? Like, that's sad. That's a sad world we live in. That you that down bad that you want others to feel sorry for you. You're a grown man. who goes feel sorry for a grown man? Unless there's situations where it needs to be, but in this case, no, no. I'm supposed to feel sorry for a man that can get a girl. Mind you, he can get the girl if he would just do this, open his mouth. Now, on the other hand, he got Sarah that wants him. That's literally wouldn't mind dating him. They wouldn't mind giving him the time of the day. But no. By the way, grown man.
That has made life unfair for a man who deserves to be loved and wanted. And this only becomes more apparent as the story progresses. But why is this casual mention of Sandy's death our first indicator that Bear is a narcissist? Because this is a tactic that narcissists like Bear use to get the attention they feel they deserve or need. What happens as soon as Bear brings up Sandy's death? Well, Nikki and Ian don't hear him, so they walk off. But Sarah does. And what does she do? She hugs him and offers him her condolences. But that's something natural for someone to do in this situation. So again, why is this a sign that Bear is a...
Maybe it wasn't Sarah he wanted the hug from. It was Nikki. Really, truly. He didn't want it. He probably didn't want to hear it from Sarah. He wanted to hear it from Nikki, not Sarah. I guess in his mind, it's like, oh, I'm about to hit this play right here. I'm about to hit the sympathy chord right here. Apparently Sandy had like passed away. I don't know how that happened. Like, I don't know how she got the pills and stuff. It's a bummer, guys. Like, I just don't know. And Nikki's supposed to, oh my goodness, Bear, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about Sandy. Here, Bear, give me a hug. Oh, and and in Driller when Michael showed his real like that. Yeah, hold on.
narcissist.
This is what I imagine Bear would probably be thinking in his head. Like, I imagine him talking about Sandy and trying to get a reaction out of Nikki instead of Sarah. This is what I think would have happened. Like, I think this is the playbook he was trying to get. This is what, like, I swear to you, like, if Bear would have got that hug from Sarah, I bet you Buddy's face would look like this. Like, it would look like something like this. It would look sinister because that's what he wanted. He didn't want a hug from Sarah. He didn't want something from Sarah. He wanted from Nikki. He wanted, again, he was like, it's a bummer that, I lost Sandy tonight. Guys, I don't know what to do. It was my grandmother's cat. But, I still liked it, Sandy. Oh, man. I had to bury her in the backyard. Bear, I'm so sorry about that. Oh, I like this Sandy. Bear, here, give me a hug. And she hug him, and then this would happen. Like, boom. After the hug, this would happen. I swear to you. I swear that would happen. I swear this is what Buddy's face will look like. Because now he's like, I'm in there. Yes. See, hug me now. I'll play the chord. I'll play all the chords tonight. Yes. Now tonight's going to be the ultimate night. I get to dive into her box. I swear that's what he's thinking about. But I swear, I'm pretty sure Buddy really thinks that playing that chord is going to get him to, get the pains to drop, Buddy think that'll probably be the penny dropper. Who knows? I mean, who knows what's going on in his mind? I don't know. I'm just saying, he trying to play it based on what Val I is saying. Buddy's a narcissist that plays the pity chord. He plays the sympathy chord. He wants people to feel sorry for him. I'm not feeling sorry for a grown man, by the way. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this in the video. He's a grown man, by the way. I'm not about to feel sorry for a grown man, by the way, that can't open his mouth and let the women in his life know that he likes them and wants to date them and wants to court them. Not but feel sorry for a grown man. Should have the balls to speak up and be straightforward and be blunt about it. Like a real man. Let's continue the video.
Because of the way Bear brought up Sandy's death and why. Just prior to him bringing up Sandy, Bear was interrupted by Ian and then Sarah while he was talking to Nikki and trying to score points with her. And so in a moment,
Now, knowing what I know now, Ian's still L Mans for that. That's L Mans, you know, because I know, but he know, like, I know with that Ian's L Man. Okay, I see the play Ian trying to do. We know by the end of the movie, we know that him and Nikki been, you know, doing a little, little stuff at night. You know. So he's been knowing about this. So why would you butt in on your man's trying to like holler at Shorty? But we all know now by the end of the movie you've been with Shorty like that. Why are you doing that? Why are you being an like what was up with that? Are you trying to say that if she gets with Nikki, she gonna cut you off with the cheeks? Is that what it is? Like, are you gonna be cut off? Is that what it is? Is that why you interrupted the conversation? Also, now I think about it, in that opening, in the beginning of the scene of the movie, right, when they're sitting down at the table, why did you want him to say that? See, that's another thing. That's another thing you gotta think about Ian's, like the side of Ian and the perspective of Ian. Why would he mention about the freaky Nikki thing, knowing she don't like when he think about it, when Bear said that to Nikki, she felt, hurted. She felt hurted. She felt disrespected, I guess. Well, yeah, not guess, but she felt hurted. She felt disrespected. She felt like, dang, I don't like that. Why do you say that? Like, that's not cool. That's not funny. Like, like, dang, you said him saying that's like her gonna look at him like differently now. Like, I thought she was different. I thought you know what I mean. Like, I thought what they had was special. Like, it's like you're just like everyone else. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's how she felt. Like, you bringing that up, saying that is like you're just like everyone else. Again, ruin his chance with that. Now putting his mouth and saying freaky Nikki. If he would never say that, I'm pretty sure she would like. I'm just saying, if realistically speaking, if he never said the freaky Nikki and he opened his mouth, I'm pretty sure she could have gave him a chance on her own terms. Though, think about it. She could have gave him a chance on her own terms, but she was never given that chance of her own terms. Now back to Ian again. I'm going back to Ian again. Why would he give that say that? Why would he say, oh, call her freaky Nikki? Knowing y'all know she don't like that. Knowing the past of that, that name. Cause he L-Mans. He knows him saying that it's gonna like ruin, like tarnish their relationship in a way. That means they gonna be pillow talking. She gonna tell Ian, Bear would call me freaky Nikki. He could be like, really? Wow, that guy, Bear really said that? Really? I know these things. I know how people be, man. You can't lie to me, Craig. I know how this goes. Shout out to Friday. I know how this goes. Oh my goodness, bro. Like, that's the play he gonna do. He gonna act surprised and be like, what you mean he call you freaky Nikki? Come on, stop. Oh gosh, Bear. And then he go to work and they'll be like, Bear, you shouldn't do that. You told me to do that. Continue the video.
Moment where the attention he felt he deserved and this opportunity to further his goals was taken from him, he chose to reveal something that would instill pity within those around him, so they would then redirect their attention back to him, with the hope that Nikki especially would do so, and lavish him with the tender affection and attention that he craves from her, which is made even more evident by the fact that when Sarah hugs him, he first smiles, and then looks increasingly distraught as his eyes slowly move towards the path Nikki and Ian took as they walked away.
Because he wanted the hug from Nikki, not Sarah. He didn't want no sympathy from Sarah. He wanted sympathy from Nikki. He wanted to get brownie points with Nikki, not Sarah. That's what the whole thing was about. He didn't care about Sarah. This is like, I ain't gonna lie, this is like a love square, if you think about it. This is a big love square. A big love square. Not a love triangle, it's a love square.
Showing us that he's likely staring at Nikki, wishing that Sarah were her. Now, where does a person learn to behave like this? Well, it's actually natural, as it's something that we all know to do inherently from birth. What does a baby do when they need something? Well, they sure don't ask politely. They cry and scream, which are the only things they can do to express to anyone around them that they're in distress and that they
So you're saying here a grown man with baby tendencies. Okay, got it. Grown man with baby tendencies. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't see how anyone could feel sorry for Bear. If you feel sorry for Bear, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. I'm not gonna lie to you. As a man, if you like literally see yourself in Bear or feel sorry for Bear, go in the mirror and look at yourself in the mirror for an entire day and rethink your life, because this is not the way to go. This is definitely not the way to go. This is not the way to go. This is not the way to go. I swear. Like, I know that there's probably people out there that see this movie and it's like, man, I feel sorry for Bear. Why would you feel sorry for a man? Why? A grown man that can't open his mouth. A grown man that's literally got baby tendencies. A grown man that literally is trying to, get brownie points for a girl he likes. A grown man literally sitting at the edge of his bed crying over a bed in his bed. You're going to feel sorry for a grown man like that? No. Everything that happened to him for a reason. Because he couldn't be a man.
need attention. Now, as we grow older, this behavior typically lessens as we develop better forms of communication to use to express our needs, and realize that affection and attention from others is earned, and is not something that should be coerced out of others. But even in toddlers or young children, you'll find that they'll cry for seemingly no reason at times, or even fake injuries to get your attention and your affection. But again, at some point though, this behavior does typically stop. But if you weren't given much attention when you were a kid, then it's more likely than not that you continue to behave like this throughout childhood.
Oh God, bro, you're so. God, bro, please tell me you're not trying to say this man, his mom and daddy didn't love him enough. Please don't. Oh goodness gracious! Please tell me this is not the case of his mom and daddy didn't love him enough. Please, bro, please.
And possibly even into your teenage years and beyond. And this is the case for Bear. Bear, who was likely starved of attention for the majority of his young life as I mentioned earlier, is on the inside, still a baby who knows that the quickest way to get their caregivers.
I just said it. Grown man with baby tendencies. I literally just said it. He's a grown man with baby tendencies. Mom and dad didn't love him enough, so now he got to take it out on other people. He got to find love in other ways. Grown man, by the way.
His attention is to cry as loud as he can, and the kid who's
crying to who? To a woman? Grown man crying to a woman.
Scream Bloody Mary over a scrape, so long as someone would notice him and give him some attention.
Oh, this whole video is just me. This whole video is just me clowning Bear. Like literally, I have this. Again, no offense to the actor. Actor, good job. Everyone on the cast, good job. But your character is a POS. Literally, I have to tear your character apart. He's a POS. And I bet you there's grown men walking this earth that are just like Bear. I swear to you. There are grown men probably on this earth as we speak that are walking, that are Bear. And women out there, if you find yourself with a man that's just like Bear, run. Don't entertain them. Don't. They're up to no good. The bears of the world are up to no good. I ain't talking about the animal. The bears of the world, no good. Ladies, you ever find yourself talking to a bear? I ain't talking about the animal. Run. Don't entertain it. By the way, grown man with baby tendencies.
For a while. Now, you can't really fault a kid who feels forced to resort to this kind of behavior to get attention for doing so, as we all, especially when we're children, require the attention of our parents or other caregivers in order to develop into well-adjusted adults. So of course Bear, who likely was that attention-starved kid, would develop into an adult who felt that coercing people into paying attention to him and lavishing him with affection was an okay thing to do. And that's the difference between the average person who understands that using their cat's death specifically for the sake of getting people's attention and gaining their affection is wrong, and a narcissist like Bear who, whether instinctually or purposefully, only cares about what such a situation can do for him and his desire to be loved, in this case, by Nikki specifically. Now, in accordance with the title of this film, Bear is an obsessive, a person who, once they feel that something or someone belongs to them, will stop at nothing to make sure that they do indeed belong to them. That isn't to say that crushes like the one Bear has on Nikki are inherently bad things. Far from it.
Oh, nothing's wrong with having a crush, especially if you know nothing's wrong. I mean, everyone has crushes, but the thing about having a crush is if you have a crush on somebody, let them know, man. Don't end up like this. Don't end up like this. And I think about obsessed, right? Think about a person being obsessed. This is my thing, and I'm gonna say this, and I'll probably say it again later on in the video. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about obsession, right? Granted, the movie, but the idea of like a partner being obsessed with you, right? Here's the thing. You don't want a partner that's obsessed with you like the way Nikki is, in a sense that it was against her own free will, right? I'm pretty sure all of us in this world would like to have a partner that is obsessed with us, but on their own accord, on their own free will, on their own, you know, way of being obsessed, versus you causing that person to be obsessed. You know what I mean? Like how Bear did. So I don't see as much a problem. It's just the way he went about it is the problem. I'm pretty sure Nikki could be obsessed with him in her own free will, in her own accord, if given the choice. She could have. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women that are like that, and a lot of men that are like that with their partners, that are obsessed with their partners on their own free will. You got me? Now, again, with the crushes, there's nothing wrong with having a crush, but the problem is holding it in. Let that person know. If you have a crush on somebody, let them know that you like them. Be upfront and be straightforward. It's not gonna hurt you. It's not gonna be in the world. Okay, if you get rejected, cool. It's all right. There's 4 billion other people in the world. Well, 8 billion, but cut that in half depending on what gender you're like. But in this case, if you like women, there's 4 billion women in the world. Pick and choose. Like, keep going out there until one lands. Sure, one door may close, but another will open. And guess what? Another door was open if he just opened the door with Sarah. But instead, he wanted to go chase Nikki. He's chasing Nikki, but Sarah's right there. Now, granted, again, if the events of the movie never happened, he probably could have got Nikki. Who knows? Who knows? If he opened his mouth. If he was straightforward and honest, that's the problem. He's not a man, because a man would be honest with his feelings. He was never honest with his feelings. And that's what I have a problem with. That's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with a man that's a grown man. You're a grown. Listen, man. You're a grown man. You're not in school no more. It got bro. Just be honest. Be straightforward. If you like someone, just tell them. Who cares? You're a grown man. Just be honest. Be like, just sit her down, whatever. Just say, Nikki, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? Will you be my girlfriend? Just do something. Spice it up. Just be honest, man. All this could have been avoided if he was just honest about his feelings. Guys, listen, man. Don't be like Bear. Be honest with your feelings. Let the girl know that you love her, that you like her, that you want her to be a girlfriend. You don't have to do something like this at all. You don't have to at all. Like this is like a case study of what shouldn't happen. Let's continue.
As planning a beautiful love story had begun with the affections of one person for another slowly becoming known over time, and a relationship blossoming as a result. But here is the crucial difference between someone like Bear who wants the person they're infatuated with to love them no matter what, and a person who's looking to find love. If you're looking to...
Yeah, nothing's wrong with that, but it's the way he went about it. It's nothing wrong with you wanting someone to love you so much, but it's the wrong way he went about it. Right here, Sarah. I'm pretty sure Sarah loves him just the way I believe Sarah loved him just the way he wanted Nikki to love him. You got what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way he went about it. He could have he has someone right here, Sarah, that could have loved him just the way Nikki loves him. Think about that.
Find love. You're doing just that. You're moving through the world anticipating that at some point, the right person is going to come along who you're going to make a connection with, that you're then eventually going to fall in love with, and they you. And when these feelings begin as a crush, a well-adjusted person will pursue the object of their desire, and then either win their affections and proceed to live happily with them, or they'll fail to do so for any number of reasons, and move on. But for someone who's obsessed with another, there is no moving on, only the mad drive to win their affections no matter what it takes. And if there is, moving on for them typically manifests itself in dark thoughts and spite-filled condemnations of the person they were obsessed with. The bitch or asshole who couldn't see the prize sitting right in front of them who, for the rest of their days, is going to have a special place in their mind as a monster who should have known better. For the love that people like Bear wish to extract from others is always for themselves, and themselves alone. They don't love the person they're obsessed with. They love the idea of them, and what
I said that already. He didn't love Nikki like he thought he loved Nikki. He loved the idea of Nikki. He probably loved Nikki in a lustful way. He didn't, that's the thing. Some people may not love the person. They just love the idea of them. They love what they represent. So whatever Nikki represented to him in his life, that's what he loved. That's what he wanted. He didn't want Nikki per se. He wanted the idea of her. He wanted what she represents. He wanted what she brings to him in his life. And that's what he went wrong about it. He went wrong about it like that.
they think they'll bring to their lives, the romanticized version of them that they believe will result in the manifestation of true love, when in reality, romance, while being important in any loving relationship, is not the same thing as love. And for the obsessed, the care they show their obsession is only ever shown as a means to that end. And we see this with Bear and Nikki when he's driving her home, and they have a conversation about Nikki putting in her 2 weeks at their job. Bear starts off by saying it's going to be weird not seeing you every day. And when she says she isn't happy there, he replies, "It's just a job, Nikki." Notice how he completely ignored the fact that she wasn't happy here, and instead
Yeah. He didn't take what she said in consideration. Another person would be like, okay, I feel you. Yeah, that job does suck, Yeah, I understand. No. He wasn't thinking about her. He was thinking about his own selfish needs. He didn't want her to leave because he wanted to keep seeing her. He wanted to keep seeing Nikki around. He didn't want to let her go. That's what it was. He just didn't want to let her go. And that was wrong of him. That was like very selfish. Like, and honestly, does Nikki want to be with a man like that? Because like let's think about it. Like, I mean, they kind of were in a relationship, but like, let's say that it was a wish. Let's say they truly got into a relationship, like a real relationship. Nikki would actually realize why Bear is the way he is, and why it would be hard for him to succeed in life. And granted, I'm pretty sure she saw all the layers of him when she was possessed by a wish. So I'm assuming, like, if the wish was broken and he was still alive, I'm pretty sure she would put up a string on him. I'm being honest. So I think that if none of the ending didn't end like that, and it ended where the wish was broken and everyone was still alive, yeah, I'm pretty sure she would definitely like put a restraining on bro, like pronto. Like, she would definitely quit her job and move far away and cut ties with everybody. Because, like, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think. If there was like a real relationship, okay, again, if that the events didn't happen like that, it didn't go down like that, I'm pretty sure she would definitely put a restraining order on him and cut all ties with him and everyone and quit her job. Now, if there was in a real relationship and she got to see like who he really is, his true character, yeah, she would definitely like end the relationship early on. And I'm pretty sure he would turn into a stalker. I think that, yeah. Oh, that's a good. Yo, think about it this way. Like, think about this. This movie could be. I feel like this movie could be like 3 different things if you think about it. The turning point of this movie would be flipping it where he's obsessed, which I'm pretty sure that been played in a lot of movies. But the idea of she finally think about here's the thing, here's the play here. Think about how the movie would have been like. She gave him a chance, right? She gave him a chance. Things go our way, but then eventually he starts showing his true self, his true character to the point where he's obsessed with her, and he starts doing the things that she would do in the movie, and the movie, it ends tragedy. That's one way of looking at the movie. The other way, I was thinking more so yandere. I would think this movie could have been like a yandere type of movie. That'd be a cool idea. Like take this movie and turn it into like a yandere, like yandere the movie, so to speak, where there's no wish. Everything's like reworded, rescripted, but like Nikki's a yandere. I mean, that's an idea. Anyways, continue the video.
Ed tried to offhandedly convince her that she shouldn't be, because it's just a job. Bear isn't hearing Nikki at all here. All he's hearing is that soon enough, he's going to have reduced access to the woman he's obsessed with, and so his mind immediately jumps to any response that could cause her to reconsider quitting. There is no, "I'm sorry you're unhappy," "Oh, I didn't know you were unhappy," or well wishes, only an attempt.
Give me a moment, I'll be right back.
Notice how he completely ignored the fact that she wasn't happy here, and instead tried to offhandedly convince her that she shouldn't be, because it's just a job. Bear isn't hearing Nikki at all here. All he's hearing is that soon enough, he's going to have reduced access to the woman he's obsessed with, and so his mind immediately jumps to any response that could cause her to reconsider quitting. There is no, "I'm sorry you're unhappy," "Oh, I didn't know you were unhappy," or well wishes, only an attempt to get her to go in the direction that he wants her to go. After this, she responds.
Yeah, that's very narcissistic. I ain't gonna lie. That is definitely very narcissistic to think. Cause like it's like I said, and like he said, he never once considered, "Oh man, I'm sorry, Nikki. That job does suck though. I'll agree with you, Nikki. He could have did that. Boom, that could have been a layup right there. Could have like hit her with that. Hit her with that. Could have said, "Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, Nikki, that job does suck, The managers, the boss, our co-workers, And she's like, "You're right, Bear. I'm really tired of this one manager. He or she, yada 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 yada. Water, 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 water. You know what I'm saying? Like, but no, he blew it. Boom, one there. He blew right there.
By saying, "Yeah, well I want to write," and he says, "I mean you are," which is only more of the same. But then Nikki pours her heart out to Bear by saying, "No, I feel like I need a big life change. I'm not feeling love, and I want to feel love if I want to bring the story to life." Bear's response, with a smirk on his face, he says, "Love, so it's a romance." Nikki responds by saying, "No, it's not a romance, it's a love story," to which Bear says, "Aren't they the same thing?" But this entire conversation for Bear is all about manipulation, guiding Nikki towards reconsidering her decision and belittling her dreams so she might stay with him. And
oh, so he was trying to crush her. Yo, this is crazy. Mind you, this you saying all this to the girl you like, and you expect her to just be like, "Bear, oh my goodness, Bear!" Like, what woman wants to hear that? Like, imagine you actually telling your crush that. Like, your crush is like telling you about herself, or telling you about her dreams and aspirations, and you can like just shut her down. You think she want to be with a man that goes shut her dreams down? That goes shut down her dreams and aspirations? No. As the man, you're supposed to uplift her. You're supposed to like encourage her. You're like be her, like right hand, man. You're supposed to be like just lift her up, make her feel good, make her happy. Like, yeah, you could do that. I see you doing that. Yeah. I think you'd be a great writer. I should read some of your stuff. Let me check it out. Like say something like that. No. Buddy's like this and that. Because he don't want to he don't want to leave. He don't want her to go away. He don't want to stop seeing her. If you, bro, you're going a wrong way. If you think the way you're talking, the way you're doing is going to get you the panties to drop, no, it's not. It's just going to pull her away. It's really pulling her away. She really is dry over there. I ain't gonna lie. It really is dry at this point. It really is dry, cause bro, you literally is shutting her down by being inferior. Like now, it feels like you have an inferiority complex at this point. Like, bro, get a grip. Like, why not encourage her? Why not feel happy for her? Why, like again, you should just be like, Yeah, Nikki, I do see you doing that. I do see you, you know, you know, going for bigger things in life. I want to be there for you. I want to be there when you make it to the top. Uh, that's what he could have done, but no, he didn't because he's a POS. At the end of the day, he's really a POS.
Forget about any silly aspirations that might pull them apart. He doesn't see a woman he cares for who's unhappy.
A lot of men like this, really, truly. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of men like Bear. Like, there's a lot of men who don't want their women or the women they like to accomplish things, which is crazy. It's really crazy that there's men like that. Me personally, I'm not like that. I don't. I would, I honestly would want the woman to have dreams and aspirations and do big things. Because at the end of the day, why would I want to be with a woman that doesn't have goals in life, that isn't ambitious and driven? Like, because I'm an ambitious and driven person, so I would expect to be with an ambitious and driven woman. So I'm not gonna shut her down. I'm gonna encourage her. And he didn't encourage her when she needed him the most. At this point, it feels like this is one of those moments where she needed, and reinforming, some reinformation, but clearly not.
And only wants to fulfill her dreams. Only the woman he believes should be his, slipping through his fingers. This is only made worse when Nikki admits that Bear is her only confidant, the friend she relies on seemingly just as much as he relies on her for comfort and security, which adds another layer of depravity to Bear's actions here. This is who Bear is, an attention-starved narcissist obsessed with another woman, who spends his days and nights pining for her and fantasizing about being with her, but never really knowing how to make his fantasies a reality.
I know how to make it a reality. Open your mouth. That's how you make it a reality. Stop living in a fantasy and come into reality and just open your mouth. Just let her know. Instead, he wants to live in a fantasy world. He'd rather live in a fantasy world than live in the real world and live in reality by not, letting it be known that he likes her. He likes the idea for you. So it's like every time she opens her mouth and talk about other things, it's like it's crushing the ideal he has of her in his mind. That's basically another way of looking at it. It's like her talking about her dreams and aspirations. He don't want to hear that because that's not what he sees in her. He doesn't want that. And it's crazy when you think about it because when she became obsessed Nikki, I'm pretty sure she never had time. It's like, I don't think anywhere in the movie we ever see Nikki doing stuff for Nikki. It's always for Bear. It's always based on Bear. It's never based on Nikki. Do you really want to be with a partner that lives like that? No. I would rather a woman be her own person, be her own being, be her own woman. Sure, I want her to be into me, but like at the end of the day, you have your own life. I don't expect you to like always be there all the time. Like, I have my own life, you have your own life. As long as there's trust, respect, loyalty, honesty, you know, and everything else in between all that. Yeah, I mean, but in his case, no, it's not. There's none of that. There's nothing. It's nothing. It's really just false love. It's really false love. It's built on nothing. It was never built at all. And again, it's like from what I've seen in the movie, I've never seen Nikki do anything for Nikki. It's always around him. It's always based on him. I don't think anyone wants a partner that does that. I think that's strange. Again, there's nothing wrong with a person being clingy, being possessive, having some obsessed tendencies, but in a healthy coping way. In a healthy coping way. This is not a healthy coping way.
For as much as Bear is this obsessive, he is also a deeply insecure, awkward, and anxiety-ridden man, and with both fear of being rejected and this incessant fantasy of the perfect woman he's in love with constantly running through his mind, this has caused Bear to become a coward in many ways, not just because he's afraid of rejection, but because in his mind, the perfect words, the perfect moment, the perfect gift, when in reality, interactions between human beings are rarely perfect, and the only perfection as far as love is concerned.
Looking at this right here, in his mind, it's like, dang, man. Now me and Nikki not going, we're not going to share our times no more. That's probably what he's thinking. It's like, dang man, he really got Nikki. I think the problem, looking back in the movie and the way Ian was moving, I think Ian was upset the fact that them two are together. I really think down because then again he is L's man. So like let's not forget that Ian is L's man about this. But I feel Ian really was upset and felt some type of way because now he has no access to Nikki now. At first he was having access. He had access to her, but now it's like, oh, he has no access, so now he can't get what he want out of her. So it's like, we don't know exactly, you know, Nikki's feelings for Ian exactly is, but we know that it was on and off. So at the end of the day, Nikki's a victim. Not just a victim to Bear, but also a victim to Ian. I think Ian is also, plays a part in this movie too. So even though she's a victim to Bear, she's also a victim to Ian. Because Ian had access to her body. Bear has access to her whole essence, her whole being, because she's possessed. I feel sorry for Nikki. I feel sorry that these two men basically failed her. These two men right here failed Nikki. He only wanted her for sex. He only wanted her because of a fantasy. He did it all for a fantasy. Shout out to Brent Fayez. But yeah, basically, like Nikki's definitely the victim in this story, in this movie. Well, we all know she's the victim, but now when you put him in the picture, yeah, she's definitely a victim. Definitely. No questions asked. When you put Ian in the picture of this movie, she's a victim of both people. Hell, she could be a victim with Sarah, because aren't they supposed to be friends? Like, supposed to be friends? Like, just saying. But back to the perfection thing, Val I yeah, everything is not perfect. Life is not perfect. Life is all about learning and growing and making mistakes. So honestly, he didn't have to come up with the perfect thing. He could just, like, bro, like right there in the core scene, could have just said, yeah. When she asked, could have said yes, Nikki. That's all. Just be straightforward. Just be honest. Like, you okay. Again, you're a grown man. Why play games? You playing games, playing, like, come on. Hot and cold, all this. Like, just be honest. Just say it. Just say it with your chest out. Say you like her. That's all you gotta do. That's all Buddy gotta do. But no, Buddy didn't do it. Right there, he blew his chance. Well, he been blew his chance before, but right there, not being straightforward with his feelings, definitely blew his chance.
Comes about when things are organic, when you let yourself live in the moment and respond to another person with a genuine warmth
I was just like, was that an AI picture of them? I'm like, oh my god. Okay.
and care that anyone you might love deserves. But for a man like Bear, even when that perfect organic moment is staring him right in the face,
Again, yeah, right here. Right here. When she asked that question, bro. Like, I'm being honest, just say it. Like, honestly, guys, if you're faced with this in a situation like this, let her know. Who cares about rejection? One door closes, another one opens. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's not. You know, you fight to live another day. You win some, you lose some, but you fight to live another day. That's the motto you should live with your life. Live every day. You should live with that motto every day. You lose some, you win some, but you fight. You fight for another day. And again, Baisha just said, "Yeah, I like you. I like you, Nikki. Will you be my girlfriend?" And she said, "Yes." Cool. You in there? And she says no. Okay. You got Sarah. I mean, imagine this. Imagine you pop out with Sarah. What would you think then? How would you feel then? You know, they do say that women get more feel somewhat attracted when another man has other women around him. So I guess in that situation, she may, I don't know, maybe want to get with you now because you're with Sarah. But hey, who knows?
He's incapable of capitalizing on it, with fear and anxiety clouding his judgment and pushing him into believing that he's just going to make himself look stupid and ruin everything if he doesn't do everything perfectly like the way he imagined. And that's the tragedy of Bear's character, for if he could have stepped out of his own head for just a moment, he'd have realized that everything he desired was likely a lot more achievable than he might have thought, as by all accounts,
Yeah, true. Yeah, it. I feel like right there, she would have said yes. I feel like she would have said yes, but we don't know yet. We don't know exactly. But I feel like her asking him and giving him the opening. If he would have took the chance and said yes, there was a possibility she could have said yes. But no, he was too coward, and I was like, yo, bro, like, come on, like I don't know, I just don't know. I mean, I just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, then again, I never been in this situation before. All the girls I ever had crush, I've always been straightforward and honest. So I mean, me, I feel like beating around the bush is like, why beat around the bush? It's just, I don't know. I don't have it in me to beat around the bush. I really don't. I just don't feel like it. If I like someone, I'm gonna let them know. I'm gonna let them know, and especially if they ask me, duh, I'm gonna say it right then and there. No, no questions asked. I mean, even though you did ask the question, but still, in a heartbeat. And depending on what you say, hey, it is what it is. That's how I feel. I mean, I think everyone should feel that way. Me personally, I think that's how everyone should feel.
Nikki seemed to have feelings for Bear. It seems ambiguous, especially when you consider that Nikki supposedly told Sarah that she saw Bear as a little brother. But people tell little white lies to hide their true affections for people all the time. And as Nikki said, when she has a crush on someone, nobody knows. But in that moment when Nikki asked Bear outside her house if he liked her, I have a feeling that if he admitted he did, that would have been that, and their relationship would have blossomed from there. And
Me too. Me too. I feel like, okay, again, back to the whole she would have a crush on somebody and nobody would know. I think honestly she probably did have a crush on him. I think low key she might have actually had a crush on Bear. Think about it. She might have had a crush on Bear and nobody would know. I feel like there was moments where it looked like she was looking at him, you know, before the wish had it happen. I think she did. It's like I think she was testing him in a sense. I feel like she was like really testing him, and he was. I ain't gonna lie, he was failing hard, bro. Bro was failing hard, bro. Like this is. I ain't gonna lie. Bear is the definition of 2026 biggest fumbles ever to happen. This is a historical fumble. Like he is like this is like worse than ever. Like this is Greek tragedy fumbles. Well, if he didn't make that wish, I mean, it would be definitely. But still, either way it goes, this is a fumble. Like, bro failed every little test she was giving him. Both fumble hard. He fumbled so hard he had to make dead ass. He fumbled so hard he had to make a wish. That's how bad he fumbled. Like, think about it. Bro fumbled so hard, so bad he had to make a wish. That's how bad he fumbled. Like, really, he fumbled so bad he really had to make a wish. And all he had to do was just answer the question, be straightforward, be honest, and say, yes, Nikki, I like you. I want you to be my girlfriend. I've always wanted you to be my girlfriend for so long. I've always liked you for so long. I've always admired you for so long. Like every time I see you, I feel some type of way. You know, like every time I think about you, I feel some type of way. Like you mean so much to me. Like I just don't know what to do. I just don't know. And I want you in my life, Nikki. Like I don't see myself with anyone else but you, Nikki. Like Will you be my girl, Nikki? Bear, that's so special. Thank you. Okay. You know what? I, I think I like you too, Bear. I think we could do this. Okay. You wanna come inside, Bear? Boom. Boom. Right. You know what I'm saying? It- I don't know what else to say, man. I don't know what else to say.
Though their relationship might have ended up being toxic because of who Bear is, none of the horrendous things that occurred in the story would have ever.
Yeah, and like I said before, like imagine they actually did get in a relationship, it would be a whole totally different movie. Because at this point, I feel like he would be the one obsessed than her being obsessed. I mean, he already is obsessed, but I feel like it would have been totally different. I feel like the events would be totally different. Like he would have been the one that's really obsessed because now he has her, and now he's gonna like make sure nothing or nobody gets between them.
Happened. But with Bear behind the wheel, that was always an impossibility, and though he couldn't have known what was coming next, he's still very much to blame for all the horrid things that happened after he made his wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the fucking world. A wish made believing that it would end up being what all wishes typically are. Nothing. A prayer made with the breaking of a novelty toy that anyone would have assumed was as meaningless as could be. But here, in this story, it meant everything. From this moment on, the woman known as Nikki Freeman would be replaced and imprisoned somewhere beyond the ethereal veil that separates this world from the otherworldly. And in her stead would come a creature that we'll refer to going forward as Not Nikki. But who, or what, is Not Nikki? Well, at first, I thought maybe she was a demon, and that Nikki had been possessed by some sort of succubus.
Yeah, me too. I thought so too. But then, what? I don't know. I don't like a subconscious thing in her mind, like another part of her mind. I don't know.
But Curry Barker confirmed that what we're witnessing here isn't demonic possession. And while we may never know just exactly what's going on here, when we take a closer look at Not Nikki's behavior, the probability that she's something very specific becomes much more likely. That being nothing. Nothing at all. Now what I'm about to say is purely speculation, and I could be completely off base here, right on the money, or somewhere in between. But that's the beauty of interpretation and film analysis, as it's often the case that any given person who watches a movie will come away with a different take than the next. So if you have a different take, please let us all know down below. Now, when Bear makes his wish, Nikki instantly begins acting strange, with her making confusing statements about Bear's cat, and her demeanor shifting between giddy, manic, intense, and sorrowful in the span of just a few minutes, which is entirely out of character for her, even if we've only been exposed to her overall personality for a short amount of time. But as you all know well, this behavior only grows increasingly more strange as the film progresses, and the moments where Nikki manages to pierce through the prison she's seemingly been placed in are what emphasize for us the most that whoever this is, it's not Nikki. So who, or what is it? If it's not a demon, what could this clearly separate entity be? Well, I mentioned a moment ago that she's nothing, and what I meant by that is that Not Nikki was essentially a blank slate of some sort that got infused with the real Nikki in order to make Bear's wish possible. If we think of the wish-granting process like computation, as the magic that fuels the One-Wish Willow was calculating how to grant Bear's wish, it found that the real Nikki was incapable of loving him more than anyone else in the fucking world.
So, like, in the last video I watched, it's like they had to pull a reality of something to make it happen. Because she didn't love him that much. I mean, sure, she loved him, but not the way he wanted to or thought she loved him. I mean, she probably did love him, but not like that.
So it grabbed her soul and placed a completely blank one into her body that it then downloaded her memories and personality into, while simultaneously giving it the directive that it loved Bear and Bailey more than anyone in the entire world. This is why, in the first moments that Not Nikki appears, she seems confused and acts bizarrely, because she's blank spiritual or supernatural matter that has been forcibly made to be a direct copy of this woman in a matter of seconds, and so it's getting used to existing for the first time. and because it never was a human and is only a thing attempting to be a human, for the rest of its existence, it will simultaneously act in ways you'd expect a human to, and in ways that you wouldn't, with its willow-given purpose causing it to behave in ways that satisfies its overwhelming need to love Bear as much as humanly possible, and its movements being strange and creepy as it tries to behave.
I'm not gonna lie.
Satisfies its overwhelming need to love Bear as much as humanly possible, and its movements being strange and creepy as it tries to behave in ways it feels it needs to.
Like, that scene is like the best part of the movie, not gonna lie. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I swear, that's like the best scene.
In response to any given situation involving Bear, whether positive or negative. And when you consider that not Nikki is likely warring with the real Nikki for control over her body throughout this story, it makes sense that it will often move in ways that reflect the confusing storm of emotions, both artificial and drawn upon, that are raging inside of it, especially after things start to fall apart for it. A great example of how this thing is attempting to make do with Nikki's own experiences, while simultaneously attempting to do what it feels is best in order to please Baron, is given to us early into her transformation, when she takes Sandy out of the trash and creates a shrine to her for Bear. When Bear sees this, he's understandably freaked out, but not Nikki is confused, as it knows that Baron just lost his cat, and by rummaging through Nikki's memories, it knows that's not a good thing. So in an attempt to make him feel better, it does what it's seen other people do in Nikki's memories when they're faced with death. It creates a memorial to Sandy, a thing to help Bear cope with her passing, and to revere her. But it doesn't understand that there's a distinct difference between holding a funeral for someone or an animal, and digging their corpse out of the trash, and making a shrine to them on the kitchen floor. That's why, when Bear stumbles upon this scene, not Nikki is confused, unable to understand why the supposedly helpful thing is upsetting Bear. And when he says it's fucked up, she says she doesn't know if it's fucked, and when Bear replies that it is, she hesitantly asks if that's good, which is a perfect example of how not Nikki is only mimicking human behavior in the way it believes is best, and doesn't understand why that behavior is less than adequate at times. Despite this, for a time after they officially enter a relationship, things are rather picturesque for the couple, with a whirlwind romance ensuing that's everything Bear could have ever hoped for, but not Nikki.
Yeah, the fantasy that he wants to live in. This is the fantasy he wants, that he brought into like his reality. But again, it's just a fantasy. It was always a fantasy. It was never real. It was never built on nothing. It was no foundation.
He is not Nikki, and so once it's forced to face anything new or adverse, it begins to behave in ways that are utterly psychotic as it attempts to figure out what to do, and deal with the negative emotions it has that it isn't supposed to have, because any amount of perceived negativity from Bear or anyone around as it attempts to figure out what to do, and deal with the negative emotions it has that it isn't supposed to have.
This scene, again, I think I mentioned this before, but this scene right here, think about this. Think about this for a second. Why didn't he take the whole duct tape off the door? Why? Why didn't Bear take the whole duct tape off? Why he only took the duct tape off just to leave the door? Just to leave out the door. Like I said, I believe just like how Nikki wanted to trap him in the house, I feel like he wanted to trap Nikki in the house. Because honestly, he could have just took off the entire duct tape. But he didn't.
Because any amount of perceived negativity from Bear or anyone around him is taken as a direct assault on its prime directive, to love him more than anyone else, and to receive that same love from him in turn. And because this is essentially its only function, when that function starts to go off the rails, it malfunctions. This is why there's a slow degradation of Not Nikki's sanity as the story progresses, because Not Nikki is the idealized version of Nikki that Bear had in his mind made manifest. And when the fantasy starts to come into contact with reality, Not Nikki begins to break, and to break everything around it in order to make sure that what it was made for is maintained no matter the cost. But with all the horrifying and abusive things we see Not Nikki do in this film in mind, does that mean that Not Nikki is evil? No, I don't think so. Everything in Not Nikki's mind is superseded by its directive to love Bear, so morality is arbitrary.
Yeah, I don't think she is evil at all. I think that it's just she's made that way, you know. She's just made because of the wish. That's how she's made.
contrary for it. It likely knows from Nikki's memories that what it's doing is wrong at points, but that doesn't matter, because nothing matters more to it than ensuring its love for Bear and his love for her is protected at all costs. Because I think that's true, I don't feel it's right to label not Nikki evil, as it's more so an automaton attempting to fill its function than anything else. No, what's really evil in this story is Bear and the wish he made, but that wasn't the case initially. As we discussed earlier, Bear making the wish he did was more so made out of frustration and desperation than anything, and he, like anyone else, couldn't have imagined that this wish would actually come true. The wish itself is evil because it's one that's designed to force another person into doing something or becoming something.
Yeah, against her own free will. That's what it. That's why it's evil. It's against her own free will. If it was her free will to love him and date him, yeah, nothing wrong with that. But it's against her free will. He went against her free will. He took advantage of her. That's why she's a victim. And I feel like Ian also plays a role in that too. Knowing what we know about Ian, I feel like he took advantage of her as well. In some capacity.
Something against their will.
And Sarah. I could draw in Sarah. Sarah took advantage of her as well. I think Bear, Ian, and Sarah took advantage of her in some capacity. Think about that.
But again, he had no real way of knowing that this wish would be fulfilled. But once that wish was fulfilled, and Bear willingly chose to ignore not Nikki's behavior so he could enjoy her love like he always wanted to, slowly but surely, his actions become more and more nefarious. At first, he does seem apprehensive about this new Nikki, as he even admits to Ian that she was acting strangely the day after he made the wish. But he does withhold the fact that he made that wish from him, instead trying to rationalize it in other ways, which Nikki seemingly does for him when she tells Ian that she was drunk and high the night before. Now to be fair, he probably didn't want to mention the wish to Ian because of how absurd it would sound, but the fact remains that even after he discovered a memorial to his cat on his kitchen floor, he didn't think to investigate the one wish widow further or do anything to reverse.
Yeah, now I think about that, that would send some red flags. Like, why you have my dead cat on the floor in my kitchen doing a memorial? Like, I'm just saying, like, dang, like, bro was that down bad for some that he did, like, yo, think about it. Think about this for a second. Think about this for a second. Bro saw this and was like, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. Nothing wrong with that, you know. You know. So you really you saw this. It was like it's fine. No, bro, that's not fine. That's weird, man. Like, granted, I mean, I understand that not Nikki was trying to do something that she thought was, kind of nice, but at the same time, that's kind of that don't send no red flags in your head. I don't like see nothing like going in, there like thinking, well, I don't think you're supposed to do that. That's not normal. Yeah, I'm just saying, like if this was happening in real life, like that wouldn't like make you question things. You're just gonna go with it because hey, at least I got Nikki. I guess, man. Like all for some puh, all for the name of puh.
What he'd done to this girl. Maybe, in these beginning stages, he didn't believe that his wish actually worked, or he was in denial. But perhaps that's giving him too much credit, as he was more than willing to enjoy the fruits of this sudden affection she had for him.
Yeah, he was more than looking to do all the fantasy stuff he had. Imagine coming to his own reality, but at the same time, bro, your cat's on the floor. Like she took out found the cat in the garbage. Like, come on, man. Like, you gotta think about it. Like, let's be real. Let's be FFFR right now. Be FFFR right now, please. Let's be FFFR right now.
Without really thinking twice about what he'd done, what she had done, and what she was becoming. This only becomes more egregious as the film progresses, as even after strange behavior, Bear still does his best to move past and ignore these things due to his selfish need to have this.
Bro saw everything and it was like, it's still good though. You know what I mean? Like, it's still good. Like everything's fair. You know. Like I swear, bro. Like bro saw all this. Is like, eh. The putt is still good though. fairs. All the name of Puh. Did all this for the name of Puh. At this point, like at this point, he did all in the name of Puh. I don't want to go in detail what I was thinking about just now, but hey,
woman all to himself and to enjoy her love, even when he understands that this isn't the real Nikki and expresses that he wants this falsified version of her to be more like the real Nikki. But the most damning moment for Bear in this entire film, the moment that puts aside any doubt about how horrendously self-centered he is the scene where Nikki manages to break through while not Nikki is sleeping, and she begs him to end her life, telling him in so many ways how much she's suffering as a prisoner in her own body, or somewhere else far more sinister. Bear's only response is to think of himself, to ask her what's so bad about being with him, before he walks away as she continues to plead for freedom.
right here solidified he is a POS. Right here, when I saw this scene, I was like, yeah, that dude's a POS. And as I'm watching this scene, I was thinking to myself, man, if you do that, you gotta risk jail time. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't thinking what he was thinking. I was thinking, what's so bad about me? No, I was thinking, man, if I actually go through with this, I could face jail time. So it's either jail time or going to meet St. Peter. Going to to the heavenly gates, stand by the heavenly gates, and like talk to St. Peter and see what happens. Or however that works. Whoever I got to talk to before they let me in. I'm just saying, cause like, hey, because there's only two choices at this point. If he actually went with what she said, either jail time or go on meet the Creator, meet the Great Lord. Pick your poison. I mean, at the end, he surely went, but I'm saying like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like, oh, what's so bad about me? That again, him saying that solidified him being a POS. What you mean? What's so bad, bro? She's literally, you want to be taking out her misery right now, and you're denying that. That's crazy. Like, all because you want to keep the person that you have this fantasy about. You wouldn't allow them to just be at peace. I swear, bro. That's evil. That's really evil. He got everything he got. Everything that happened to him happened for a reason. His demise was his own reason. It's crazy. I really think that scene was just crazy. Like, again, I was thinking risking jail time, but I wasn't thinking like, oh, what's so bad about me? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. Like, you could have gave her peace, but you didn't.
This, along with every little thing in this film about Bear that points to his selfish nature, is what ultimately brands him a villain. And
yeah, that is selfish. It's selfish for his own needs. Everything he did was for himself, never for Nikki. And everything Nikki did up to this point was for him, never for herself. Again, I never seen Nikki do anything for herself. It was always about him. It's like she never was her own person. Well, that's the case. I mean, it's true that she was never her own person. But you get the point that it all will revolve around him, never her. So he never took an account of her being her own person. Because if she was her own person, none of this would be happening. She wouldn't be in his house. She wouldn't be so, movie title, obsessed. But he wanted to keep it that way. He don't want to. He actually enjoyed this. I think he actually gets off on this. I think he likes the idea. Sure, it might scare him, but it doesn't scare him enough. Well, it kind of did because he got two one wish willows. But at the same time, and before that, he was enjoying it. He was really, really enjoying the moment that he and not Nikki actually had.
accidental villain at first, but a purposeful one in the end. One who willingly ignores the suffering of a woman that he's essentially made into his love slave by inviting this manufactured version of her into her body. A slave that mirrors all the worst tendencies of Baron Bailey, the cries of anguish that are fabricated for the sake of gaining pity, and an idealized love that's as warped and twisted as the fantasized Nikki he created in his mind. There is another source of evil in this film, the One Wish Willow, and the people behind its making and distribution. But its evil is akin to a genie's, who, through granting wishes, are not necessarily in control of what happens when these wishes are granted, or will grant these wishes in the most literal ways possible, without regard for the consequences they may bring, which is only emphasized by the owner of the shop that sells them mentioning that he had his wish granted, but has seemingly only benefited from it, likely because of the nature of his wish. However, unlike genies, whose moral designation often remains ambiguous, it would seem that whoever, or whatever is behind the One Wish Willow is far more malicious, as when Bear calls the hotline on the box for help, the person or thing on the other end taunts him with the screams of the trapped Nikki, telling him that the only way to end her suffering is to end her, or end himself, something that the shop owner echoes so casually that it's hard to believe they aren't satisfied in some way by this outcome. As much as that's true, Bear is still responsible here for stringing this affair on as long as he did, with every ounce of harm coming to Nikki, Sarah, and Ian coming as—
I mean, when she asked, could have done it. Right then and there, when she asked, she could have done it. Could have got it over with. But he chooses not to for his own selfish needs. He could have done it. He could have, reaped what he sowed. Could have done the jail time. That could have been his karma. That could have been his way of redeeming himself. But no, he didn't. He did it all.
a result of his actions, and his willingness to endanger them for the sake of his own desires. And even in the end, even when two of his dearest friends have paid the price for his negligence, when given the opportunity to make up for some of what he's done by ending his own life, he hesitates, attempting to vomit up the pills he's just ingested with the likely hope that he'll be able to salvage this situation in some way. As after all, this is everything he ever wanted, right?
Bro didn't want to go. He didn't want to go. Think about it. When he had the gun, he could have done it, but no, he was too, he was a coward. I mean, anyone would be a coward in that situation, but at the end of the day, he really truly didn't want to go.
Both fortunately and unfortunately for Nikki though, not Nikki, consumed by its obsession and fearing Bear growing apart from it, chooses to use the One Wish Willow to gain his eternal love. But it's too late, and the only person left standing now is the real Nikki, utterly confused, lost, and broken beyond repair amongst a sea of carnage that was unleashed by her hands, but not at the same time. And at this end, we find that it was Bear, the quietly narcissistic and cowardly young man who needed to be wanted by the object of his obsession more than anything, to be the prime evil in this story. The man who, at any time, was more than capable of making efforts to free this woman from her torment, but actively chose not to, instead ignoring all the horror he unleashed through her, so he might live out a dream come true. There are two old adages that encapsulate what happens in this film perfectly. Be careful what you wish for, and if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And throughout this story, Bear was shown that he should have been careful, and that what he wished for was too good to be true. But he didn't care. He only ever cared about himself.
Yeah, pretty much. The whole movie was just about himself. Really. He only cared about himself. He never did really care about anyone else but himself. And you're right about be careful what you wish for. Yeah, you should definitely be careful what you wish for. And some things are too good to be true. Some things really are too good to be true.
Curry Barker expressed in an interview that this film, and the relationship we see between not Nikki and Bear, is meant to present to us viewers the worst aspects of toxic relationships. Relationships where both parties are guilty to some degree of behaving in ways that are abusive, harmful, and dangerous. And while it does accomplish that quite well, in this case, in this scenario, Nikki is not at fault here, nor is not Nikki. For one is innocent, and the other a creation of an insidious wish that was granted to a wholly self-centered, spineless, and weak man who cares not for anyone but himself and his own well-being. And for that, and for everything that unfolded in this story as a result of the fantasies of Baron Bailey, he will forever and always remain a villain, and a man who sacrificed all around him, and himself, to evil. For tuning in to this episode of Analyzing Evil, and I hope you've enjoyed. What are your thoughts on Obsession? Did I miss anything? Let me know down below and leave a suggestion for a villain you'd like to see featured while you're at it. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. A big thank you to all of my subscribers.
I think you did a good job, Val Eve. I mean Val I think you did a good job. I think the video was really good, and I think my reaction was pretty good too. I think we both did a good job. I think we both did a good job. Okay, that was Analyzing Evil Obsession by the Val I. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my reaction. Let me know in the comment section below. Give this video a like. Go check out the Val I channel. Go check him out. Subscribe to his channel as well. Subscribe to mine's. Follow me on Twitch. By the way, I do reactions on Twitch, gaming, everything on Twitch. Follow me on Twitch. But if you made this far, again, follow me on Twitch. Subscribe to the video. Like the video. Comment. Share it. Let me know what you thought below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the movie. Let me know what you think about all the characters. From Bear to Nikki to Ian to Sarah. Let me know what you think about the story. Let me know what you think about how you feel about Bear. How you feel about the movie. I think it was a good movie. I really think it's a good movie. I kind of understand why this movie was so talked about. But I enjoy it. But again, like I said, Bear is a POS. And women, if you ever come across a man like Bear, run away. Please run away. Do not entertain a man like Bear. You don't need a man like Bear in your life. Men like Bear are no good for you. But I'm going to see you guys in the next video.